What's going on, guys? It has been probably like 3 weeks maybe since we did our last video. I started traveling like February 1st for a few weeks, and then last week I just kind of like try to get back into the groove of things. For our last video that we did, I touched on ketosis and the high-fat diets and the benefits of them, and that's what myself and my girlfriend have been following since October, so it's been probably about 4 to 5 months. And I indicated in there that I was going to get my blood work done soon, and I wanted to give you guys the results so you could see kind of what happens between two different people and how a diet may not be the best for each person, because we're so genetically different in our DNA and our gene expression. We're so different that you need to find out what works and what doesn't. So like I told you in the previous video, our macronutrient percent breakdown was around 75 to 80% of fat, high saturated fat intake from, bacon, coconut oil, butter, animal fat, such as that. About 5 to 10% carbohydrate and 15 to 20% protein. So it's a very high fat, moderate protein, very low carb diet, ketogenic diet. And I got my lab results back, as did she, and I wanted to share them with you really quickly to see our findings, right? So my triglycerides value is 83. Anything below 150 is optimal. The lower the better for your blood triglycerides, so 83 is very good. HDL cholesterol, high density lipoproteins, was 59. Anything greater than 40 is respectable, and so 59 is good. My total cholesterol is high, which is to be expected, is 293. But my LDL actually increased a little more than my liking. That value is 217. We're supposed to get below 130. But as I stated in our previous video, the LDL particle size is of importance as well, right? So the more small, dense LDL particles you have, those are kind of the dangerous ones we were thinking, and the bigger, fluffier kinds is what you want your LDL to be mostly comprised of. However, I didn't get that test done. There's a specific test you can get to measure the particle size of your LDL and your cholesterol. I didn't get that done, and I started delving a little more into the research, and I just couldn't find anything out there that was showing, and just some data and some research that was showing that, hey, if you have a higher percentage of big fluffy LDL particles, yet your LDL is elevated, you have a smaller chance or smaller risk of getting heart disease. Really, what we just know out there is that if you have an elevated LDL, you are at an increased risk of heart disease. We just don't have any type of research or studies done on the size of the LDL particles playing the part, or that I could find. If you guys found one, please link it in the comments so I could check it out. But we're just kind of going out on a limb there, I feel, and kind of just supporting what we want to support. But it just rose a little too much for my liking. And another point I have to make is that I didn't get my blood work done last year. I'm bad at getting my blood work done. I should be really good at it, but I'm not. So I don't have like a baseline value of last year to compare to now to see if the values indeed changed, if they got better. If that LDL was actually because of what I just started on the high-fat ketogenic diet, because I don't have anything to compare it to, you know what I mean? Maybe like 2 years ago. But one thing I do know is that I never had high LDL. That's one thing I never did have. And then all of a sudden, this shows up a little elevated LDL. So just too much for my liking, you know what I mean? So I just made a few changes in my macronutrient percent breakdown, right? I dropped my fat a little bit, so now it's at 50% intake. I upped my carbs in the form of vegetables, some sweet potato and good stuff like that, to around 20%, 25%. And then I increased my protein a little bit too. I increased that to about 25%. So I decreased the saturated intake, right, from the bacon and a lot of the butter and stuff like that. And I increased my monounsaturated fats, such as from extra virgin olive oil, more avocado, stuff like that. And I'm gonna see what that does. In the next, I get my blood work done another 3 months. I'm going to see what the values are. So now this is great. So the next video I can show you guys the changes I've made. When I get that done, I can just have my paper here and have the next one here and just totally compare what has happened. But on another note, my girlfriend found the same thing. 75 to 80% of her caloric intake was fat. Highly saturated bacon, butter, coconut oil every day. And her values are as follows. Her total cholesterol 248, also considered high, but to be expected when you're doing a high-fat diet. Triglycerides are 48, very low. That's actually spectacular in my opinion. Her HDL, high-density lipoproteins, were 113. Anything above 40, like I said, is optimal. 113 is great. The higher the better on your LDL. So that's why her total cholesterol is probably high, because she has such a high HDL value. And her LDL is 125. Anything below 130 is what we want to go for, and hers is 125. So all of her numbers are just great on her blood work. You know, she has no concern. You know, no elevated LDL. You know, no elevated triglycerides. That intake has just responded great with her. What you compared to me is I have elevated LDL. So you can kind of see how a diet or intake can change from person to person, which is why I always say, if you're gonna start a diet or exercise program or both combined, which is optimal, get your blood work done before you begin, and at the very most 3 months later, 3 to 4 months later, get your blood work done again, so you could see and compare the values. Was there benefit? You know, was there risk? Did it not work for you? Did it work for you? You need to know at this level, you know, at a cellular and you know, physiological level, you need to know what's going on. And I just wanted to bring you guys those values, show you what was going on. And we're gonna, I just made a few changes in my diet. Like I said, increased monounsaturated fat intake, omega-3 fatty acids, stuff like that, decrease the saturated fat intake and overall fat intake. But the gist of it is I'm still eating over 50% of my intake from fat, so, and around 20-25% from carbs. So I'm still at a high fat, low carb diet. Would I achieve nutritional ketosis with that intake? Hard to say. I'm gonna have to test every week or something like that, but most likely I won't be achieving nutritional ketosis doing that. However, it's all about what is going on in your body. So the next 3 months, this is what I will follow, and I'll see a 3-month follow-up on what the next values say. And for my girlfriend, she doesn't have to change a thing. She can keep eating bacon and whole eggs and butter every day, because I mean she's healthy. It's what it's showing. She's very healthy actually. So for people to say that high fat, you know, ketogenic diets are dangerous and all this stuff, they elevate your cholesterol, not necessarily for everyone. You have to test things individualized. That's why things are customized. You know, you can't just say, hey, one size fits all. It's never going to be like that. You have to find out what works for you. And this is what we're going to do. So sorry for the delay on the video, guys. Please leave what you want to see next in the comment section. Give us topics, whatever you want. We're going to be on here for pretty consistently every week. I'll try and give you guys, you know, I mean, I can do a ton of reading, so that's where I usually get a lot of the topics from. A lot of the myths that I hear about, I always try and, you know, debunk them and write on video. So whatever you guys want to see, please comment. If you like the video, like it, share it, and I'll get back to you guys soon, all right? God bless. Hove Hustle Fitness.